Hello, hello, hello. Good morning, afternoon, evening, whenever you're watching this. I just wanted to pop in and have a conversation with you. I was having my coffee today, and with all the stress and anxiety that's going on around the world, heck, we got a war happening. Um, I'm not sure, did the psychics even predict that for 2022? Like, how do we get here? Hey? Anyway, the reason I felt it was very important is because in my past, I beat anxiety disorder. And I know that a lot of people are struggling with anxiety, depression, panic attacks. And I wanted to give some insights into some things that help me in order to help restore peace, if at all possible, in this crazy time. So, one of the things um, that I found really helpful is perspective. Actually, if you see this book right here, that's The Noticer by Andy Andrews. And it was the first book that really helped me figure out perspective. It also taught me that change happens in a second, right? Andy Andrews does say deciding to change takes a long time, but change actually happens in a second. And if somebody's making something complicated, it's because they don't know what they're talking about, right? Everything was just so simple and so easy. And just the power of perspective was able to reduce my anxiety by 80%. And I wanted to give you some insights into that perspective that I had because it was a powerful shift for me. And when you think about, I'll dive into the anxiety parts first. So, first off, your body remembers what your head forgets. And a lot of times, your body's remembering a story, it's remembering an emotion tied to a past memory that scared the heck out of you. You didn't like it the first time, you don't want to relive it, but for whatever reason, it becomes an addiction, it becomes a habit, it becomes the way that you were programmed. And in order to change it, you have to do some reprogramming, right? It's not always easy. Habits aren't easy to replace, but perspective is. And so, if you are battling with anxiety in any way, shape, or form, this is something that we need to have a talk about because anxiety is specifically caused by focusing on the future. Now, it's not just the future, it's worst case scenarios about the future. If you have an anxiety, let's be honest with each other. You are a genius, and you are a genius with creativity. You cannot possibly have anxiety if you are not creative. Do you know why? Because in order for you to have anxiety, you have to have a thought. And that thought you have to be able to distort into a completely different story that leads to an absolute nightmare, a worst case scenario that you believe with 100% certainty so much that it scares the ever loving bejesus out of you. Right? Exactly. And so, if your mind has the power to take a story and turn it into reality somewhere in the distant future, 99% of the time, it hasn't happened. In fact, 99.9% of the time, it doesn't happen. And that is a colossal waste of life, energy, and time because it's not even invested in something that makes you happy. It's invested into something that scares the crap out of you, and it's wasting precious moments. It's robbing you of a life that you actually want to live. And so, how do you get around it? I remember back in the day, I was selling some essential oils on Garage Sale. It's like a site that you get rid of all the stuff that you don't want. There was this couple that came to pick up my essential oils, and he goes, well, why are you getting rid of them? I'm like, well, I don't need them anymore. And quite frankly, I have too many. And I just didn't want to go go to waste. And so they came in, and the wife had suffered with anxiety. The husband couldn't understand it. And so he came in and he's like, oh, well, yeah, my partner or whoever it is suffering from anxiety. And I just told her to get over it. Thanks, tips. Like she hasn't thought about that once or twice. People with anxiety aren't stupid. They thought of that on day one, probably quicker than you did. It doesn't work. So, oh, it's painful. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about if you suffer from anxiety. Like, people don't get it. If you could shut it off, you would. So, in order for something to actually work, what you need to do is you need to rein in those thoughts. You need to rein in those ideas. You need to take back control of your mind and stop it from running off in the distant future on a story that you didn't like the first time you thought of it, and you sure as the hell ain't going to like it anymore as it gains momentum into the future somewhere in the worst story that you could possibly think of, because that's what's happening. So if the default is the negative that takes your brain long into the future, what we need to do is we need to pull it back to the present. And I challenge you to think about what is the opposite of that. Your mind isn't going to want to go there because it wants to win in worst case scenario. But I'm asking you, what is it in best case scenario? What is it on the most positive side of the spectrum? What is it? If you are smart enough and creative enough to think about worst case scenario, you've become an expert at it. If you've got to the point where you've got anxiety, if you need medication for anxiety, you're a master at it. I know that because I was that person at one point. So what is it that is the opposite of worst case scenario? What is best case scenario? If you spend your creativity, if you invest it into those amazing things, then you get the life you want. Then you get your life back. Then fear doesn't have a chance. Then the symptoms fade. Then you get to build healthy, happy, amazing relationships that you're not scared to participate in. So you have to take it back bite size by bite size by bite size, right? First thing that you do is you take back the story. You take back the story that you created with reality. In this moment, is it actually happening right now? Fact. If it isn't, then take the story where you're at and dream up best case scenarios. Only best case scenarios. What does that look like? All right. I'll use it with something present right now. And I'm going to go down the road that I went on. So my anxiety back in the day was caused because I had excruciating side pain in my side, which for the record still exists today if I get stressed out or I hear a bad story, because it's attached to an old memory. I understand that today. I understand where the pain's coming from today. I understand that if I talk about cancer or death or people grieving or being sad, my side hurts. I don't know what the root cause is. If I did, I would release it a long time ago and it would be gone. But at least I understand what it is today. I know for sure because medical science can't find it and alternative science can't find it. It's any medical device out there tells me nothing's wrong. So obviously when you have pain, something's bloody well wrong, but I also know the cause. So until I can find the cure for the cause, I have an understanding of where that pain's from. But if I was to rewind 15 years, then what happens is I would get the side pain. I was convinced I was dying of colon cancer. Absolutely terrified that I was dying of colon cancer. Why? I mean, there was no medical evidence. There was a pain, but there was no way for me to know that. In my head, that's what anxiety was telling me. So, worst case scenario, what would happen? Oh my goodness. I mean, what couldn't happen, right? I would go down the road. I have attended my funeral so many times. I'm glad I'm going to miss the actual one. You know what I mean? Like seriously. And so you take yourself down that rabbit hole and you find worst case scenario. All right. You're good at it. It's not going to take you long to get there. You can probably arrive in 10 minutes or less, right? Excellent. So what is best case scenario? If I come back to reality, I have side pain. Okay. I have side pain. That's my reality. Now, if I go to the doctor and it shows nothing is wrong, there are other things I can look at. I can meditate. There are a million things I can do to make this side pain subside. I've known this for a long time. And so, number one, I can meditate. Number two, I can go in and release emotions tied to old memories. Number three, I can exercise. I can go for a walk. I can listen to music. I can do activities that distract me, and then the pain subsides. See, there's solutions that are not worst case scenarios, and these things I actually enjoy doing. You know what I mean? So if it was worst case scenario and you don't know what it is because you haven't arrived in that place yet, then have fun. Have fun trying to figure it out. I mean, take responsibility for what you do need to research, but don't get stuck there. Find other solutions, find best case scenarios. And so, you know what? If I have side pain today, it's not going to rub me up these 24 hours. I have 24 hours to make fantastic memories in. I have 24 hours to do amazing things in. And that is what I focus on. I can have tea. I can read a book. Even if I wanted to watch a movie, I couldn't do anything I want today. And when you focus on the things that you want to do, what would you do if you didn't have XYZ? What would you do? Do that, right? I hope that gives you some insights into how to change your perspective if you are battling with anxiety. Let me know. I'd love to hear about it in the comments below. And if you have questions, ask away. I'll answer them for you. Have a great day. Bye for now.